Hi man, do you hear me?
Hi.
Do you
I think I should be able to hear you better now, but there's a slight problem with the thing with, I think we're doing the video, it's taking up a lot of the bandwidth.
Okay.
But
do you listen
as long as you're hearing me right.
Well, we hear you perfectly. How about you?
Yeah, I didn't hear you great when I was outside, but this is better.
Okay, that's great. First of all,
yeah, nice to talk to you guys.
It's nice to talk with you too. It's first of all, we thank you very much for your time, for your attention to our request for an interview.
Of course.
We've been following the band practically since its inception, and from a personal point of view, I always had the hope that you guys were part of the Baja Prog, so finally it's about to be realized.
Oh, yes, it's been a long wait actually.
I heard an interview with you guys last October, I think. I don't know if it was for an English station, in which you mentioned something that you would like to come over and visit America or Mexico. And I thought back there, maybe these guys are going to be on the Baja Prog.
Yeah.
Okay, we are about to start. First, I'm going to ask you to allow me to translate to the Mexican audience. Not many of them are fluent in English, so I will try to translate as quickly and as simple as possible.
Sí, yo hablo español, pero solo un poco.
No, pues perfecto.
Oh, excelente.
Muy bien, qué bien. Sí. Lo que tú nos quieres...
anche un po' italiano, pero...
anything you want to answer in Spanish, it's okay. If you want,
okay.
we can carry the interview in Spanish. If you have any doubt,
I can fill in a word here or there if I find the word. But,
okay.
8 de marzo de 2014, entrevista con Johan Westerlund del grupo Moon Safari, próximo a presentarse en el Baja Prog Mexicali, México 2014.
Sí, así es un gusto, it's a pleasure entrevistar a Johan de la maravillosa banda, wonderful band, Moon Safari, and él ha sido muy amable en concedernos esta entrevista y nos gustaría preguntar cómo se inicia la banda. How did the band get started?
Well, it's been now almost 9 years since we released the first album, and we started 2 years before the release of that, so it's 11 years now that we're a band. In our small town up in the north of Sweden, we had a bunch of bands who played similar kinds of music and who were into the same kind of... When we were at parties, we would listen to Selling England by the Pound or Close to the Edge or Thick as a Brick, that kind of music. So it was not strange that when we started playing in bands, we sort of got into that direction. And it was basically just those 2 or 3 bands that eventually became one band. We just, the people who wanted to do music the most in that type of genre that we were thinking of doing, we just sort of recruited them. So it was just a natural thing, you know, we grew up and we wanted to do the kind of music that we loved at the moment, and that was progressive rock, so that's why we played progressive rock. I think if we would have started a couple of years later, maybe we would have listened to something else and then we would have started playing something else. It's just... There's a lot of things that coincide to make a band sound the way they do.
Okay, dice Johan que empezaron hace como 9 años aproximadamente su primer disco, pero antes de eso, unos 2-3 años antes, en el pueblo donde ellos vivían. Can you tell me how you pronounce the name of your town?
It's called in Swedish it's Skellefteå. Skellefteå, but it's, if you want to pronounce it in English, that would be She Left You. She Left You.
She Left You, yeah.
Yeah.
Sí, dice
which she did, of course.
Okay, I know. Dice que se llama Skellefteå, su pueblo,
sí.
Que se juntaba una comunidad de amigos que disfrutaban del progresivo, escuchando discos como Selling England by the Pound, como Close to the Edge. Y pues empezaron a juntar lo que originalmente eran dos grupos, empezaron a encontrar afinidad y empezaron a pensar en hacer una banda. Dice él que si posteriormente se hubiera hecho la banda probablemente hubiera sido otro tipo de música, pero el gusto en común por el progresivo los juntó. Okay, how did you find the name for the band? Why is that Munsafari?
Because me and Petter Sandström, who is the lead vocalist and plays acoustic guitar as well, it was the two of us who wanted to start a band together, and then I think this was back in 1998 when the band Air had an album out called Moon Safari. I was just watching the end of an MTV video and I didn't even know the band. I just only saw that Moon Safari thing and I thought that sounded really interesting and it was very suggestive and it sounded like a good prog rock band name also. So I think that's why we chose it to start with. But then again, it's like now 10 years later, it's not... we don't ever think about the name anymore. It's become something else. It's like, that's how it got started.
Okay, dice Johan que él y Peter, el cantante que toca la guitarra acústica desde el 99 se juntaron y platicaron acerca del nombre de una banda y en aquel entonces el grupo Air sacó un disco que se llama Moon Safari. Entonces les hizo un muy buen nombre para el grupo, de forma tal que se les hacía que era afín al progresivo y pues dice que actualmente no tienen que preocuparse de dónde salió el nombre de la banda, simplemente le pusieron ese nombre y ya. I've read about your main influences, which of course are the Beatles, but I found a lot of what attracts me the most, besides the musical proficiency that you all have, are the vocals, the choruses that you handle. I find it reminiscent of, for example, the Beach Boys. I love groups like the Eagles that they use a lot of chorus and vocal parts in their music, and I think that's a distinctive aspect of Moon Safari. How did that develop? Because you all guys are credited as singers, as vocals, maybe not lead, but backing vocals.
Yes. Well, as you know, we have three brothers in the band. They're all called Åkesson. And their father is a choir conductor. And he's won, with his choir that he normally conducts, he's won Choir of the World, which is a big competition. And it's in their blood, it's in their family. They've been doing it for generations, the singing and the harmonizing. And I think also because we as a band, we also love a lot of the pop music that is not anywhere near the progressive rock. It's like 10cc or Supertramp or Klaatu or strange bands that just do a lot of interesting stuff, not only like progressive rock bands normally tend to do with instruments. They tend to play very technically and they tend to do a lot of those things with their instruments, but we try to be a progressive rock band in terms of vocals as well.
Aquí lo que me está comentando Johan es que en la banda actualmente hay tres hermanos que pues han sido parte de coros y de concursos importantes en Suecia y que pues ahí se pueden aprovechar para aportar ese estilo a la banda, que ha sido algo que ya viene de mucho tiempo en la familia y que eso también lo identifican ellos no necesariamente con el rock progresivo, sino con otro tipo de bandas que usan mucho uso de los juegos vocales. Generalmente se considera el progresivo pues como instrumental, pero ellos están aportando ese elemento del juego de voces.
Ok. Johan, Salvador Valencia, el director de Soundchaser, te quiero preguntar, dentro de lo que, en relación con lo que nos acabas de decir, ¿cómo definirías el estilo de la banda dentro del rock progresivo? Sabemos que hay muchas aristas, muchas ramificaciones y a veces las etiquetas no son buenas, pero nos suena a un rock progresivo muy especial, muy particular. ¿Tú cómo definirías, cómo te gustaría definir a tu banda, a lo que toca Moon Safari?
How could you define the style of Moon Safari?
Oh, it's a hard question. I think we aim to be adventurous, and we aim to have at the same time we aim to have a very distinct sound that is reoccurring in our albums, and that will make people hear that this is a Moon Safari album, and that this is something that people like and that they appreciate. And I think we want to keep an even level of regeneration, reinventing ourselves, and also staying true to what made us a band in the first place. But if I want to classify us as something, I think we are very much from the place in the world that we're from. If you came up here and you grew up where we grew up, you've seen what we've seen up here, and the way we left through a long winter and a very intense summer and that type of nature around us, I think that has made us what we are as a band.
Ok, dice él que es difícil definir el estilo de la banda, que definitivamente tratan de mantenerse fieles al origen de la banda, que es utilizar mucho los juegos vocales, pero que él achaca mucho al estilo en particular que han desarrollado el lugar donde viven. Dice, si conocieras aquí pues inviernos tan largos y veranos también intensos, eso tiene mucho que ver con el estilo que hemos desarrollado. For example, I was listening yesterday to Methuselah's Children. You mentioned, for example, the end of the snow and the arrival of May and the flowers and everything. That album has a lot of that vibe, the changing of stations and reaching the spring, the summer. I don't know. The seasons over there in your town are very different to what we experience here. But you make it very evident in your music.
I think it's only because that's what comes out of us, and I think also it's partly because when we got into progressive rock, we listened a lot to the Flower Kings, and it's not just their title with the flower thing in it. It's just like they had that very positive, very naturalistic, very romantic way of writing lyrics in the beginning, which I think they did really well in the beginning. It was really, they were a big inspiration early on. I think that shaped the way we wrote our music in the beginning as well. And also they come from the same place. It's just a bit more south, but they have the same relationship with nature, I think.
Okay, dice él que pues sí, el lugar donde viven pues son muy marcado el cambio de estaciones. O sea, hay temporadas de mucho frío. Ahorita, por ejemplo, los que vamos a tener oportunidad de verlo, pues se ve nieve, bastante nieve todavía donde está. Él dice que ya no hay mucha, pero dice, por ejemplo, que se vieron muy influenciadas por lo que escribían The Flower Kings en un principio. O sea, muchas actitudes de comunión como en la naturaleza. Dice ya que en un principio eso es lo que los influenció bastante. Let me tell you that we've already had an special about Scandinavian prog rock. You figured prominently on that program we made about 6 months ago. Yes. But we know your relationship with or your influence with the Flower Kings. From my personal point of view, again, I've seen a lot of good progressive rock bands have come out of Sweden. I read that on your beginnings. You had a contact with Thomas Bodin from the Flower Kings. How did that came out?
Well, I think we were listening to the Flower Kings back then. Me and Petter, another friend of ours, we went to see a show back in, I think it was 2001 or something like that, when we were still in school, in high school, and they were playing down in Gothenburg, and we went down, we were like, oh, look, there's Ronny Stolt, there's Thomas Bodin, and we were really big fans of them back then. So I think when we made the first demo, we had 2 tracks that we felt like we needed someone to help us spread them or do something like that. So we just emailed Thomas Bodin because we knew he was really great with the keyboard sounds and the way he produced his own stuff as well. So we asked him to come up and sort of give us some hints and tips about the songs and what we should do, and he really liked the songs and he wanted to come up, and then we said right there that we would make an album and he would produce it. so then it took about 2 years, but then he came up again and we did the first album. And I even through, because we have our own label, I run the label, and we got a lot of help from him in the beginning with whenever I had a problem with a distributor, or I had a problem, I didn't know, should I do this or that, then I called him, and he knew everybody in the genre already because he's been doing it for 15 years at that point. So that was an immense help in the beginning, and we didn't, I mean, normally bands like us, they sign to a small label and they get ripped off from all their money. We instead, we built our own thing, and now we control our own music, and we get much more money, of course, than we would have if we would sign with a bad label, which unfortunately happens for a lot of bands around us. So I think it was really helpful to have them as mentors in the beginning, both as an inspiration in terms of they can go and tour in Europe, they can tour in the USA, they can tour everywhere. And we saw that was possible with the type of music that we were trying to make. And also in terms of like the business side of it, that we got a lot of help from Thomas in the beginning. And now we're working with Jonas Reingold on he's mixed and mastered the last 3 releases, I think. And we played with them in Japan in January of 2013, so that was kind of cool, like going from that time when me and Petter was down in Gothenburg looking at the Flower Kings, then in 2013 where we shared a bill with them in Japan, in Tokyo, which is really absurd.
Great. Let me translate.
It is great.
Okay. Le pregunto que, bueno, más bien le comento que sabemos de su afinidad con The Flower Kings. Ellos lo citan como una influencia muy importante, sobre todo en el inicio de su carrera. Y le digo, ¿cómo se desarrolló eso? Dice que él y Peter fueron a verlos cuando estaban todavía en la escuela, en la preparatoria, a un concierto de Flower Kings, y ya tenían algunas cancioncitas grabadas, y pues trataron de hacer contacto con Thomas Bodin, que dice que pues aparte de que lo veían como un mentor, pues buscaban a alguien que les diera una guía, porque Thomas en estos dos tenía ya 15 años en el medio, y que pues finalmente pues hubo un contacto con él a lo largo de 2 años, y no nada más en el aspecto musical, sino también en el aspecto del negocio. Dice que muchas bandas firman con una compañía y pues las ganancias o los resultados económicos no son los mejores, pero que Johan, decidió hacer su compañía discográfica, y de esa forma tienen más control y más beneficios económicos. El contacto ha seguido, y dice que cómo son las cosas, que quién iba a pensar que el año pasado siguiendo a Flower Kings, se dieron cuenta de que ellos podían hacer giras con ese tipo de música. Y lo que son las cosas, dice, el año pasado en Japón, nosotros le abrimos un concierto de Flower Kings después de un tiempo, y quién lo iba a decir. Let me tell you that the Flower Kings played here in 2000. I had the opportunity to talk with Ronnie, with Jonas Reingold, and they have Transatlantic just came here to Mexico about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I had once again the chance to chat a little with Ron. They're definitely one of the bands that we look after, and let me tell you also that Moon Safari for some years now, it's another one of the bands that we look forward for their next release.
La influencia de Moon Safari tiene mucho que ver, a mi manera de ver, a mi manera de apreciarlo, con aquella etapa del rock psicodélico, con aquella etapa de el Flower Power, a lo mejor de los 60s. Me hace muchas reminiscencias a ese tipo de bandas que se divertían tanto con las composiciones músico-vocales y tocando sus instrumentos. Moon Safari es una banda divertida, pero ustedes son muy jóvenes, ustedes realmente no les tocó directamente ese movimiento. Entonces, ¿cómo es que Moon Safari tiene, a lo mejor a mi gusto personal, esa influencia de toda esa época de la era psicodélica, de la era del Flower Power, de la era incluso de la era hippie, de la era de grandes músicos como Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, ya lo dijeron, de Beatles, de Beach Boys? ¿De dónde viene esa influencia? ¿Tus papás, tu familia, o de dónde toma Moon Safari todo eso?
Okay. He says that we find a lot of psychedelic flower power, peace and love, and communing with nature influences in your music, which has been seen in bands from the late 60s And
Sure.
since you guys are very young, he kind of wonders how did those influences get to the band? Maybe through your families, to your parents, to some friends. How did that influence became evident in Moon Safari?
Well, I think if we talk about Beatles and Beach Boys and the type of 60s sunny or pop music, I think it's just because it's so good. It really doesn't matter if it came up in the 80s or in the 90s or the 60s, but we've definitely had a lot of people around us who have listened a lot to music, so I think we were exposed quite early to different types of music from all genres and all time periods. And I think because people here listen so much to music and are so interested in all the genres, there was just a lot of people that could help us find the good stuff, which is, I mean, you never find it all, but I think we were quite early with understanding where the good stuff in the music was.
Okay. Dice él que pues esas influencias, dice que pues aunque no le tocó vivirlas a ellos en su juventud, en su infancia, dice pues a fin de cuentas es buena música, es algo bueno, y pues ese tipo de música trasciende y hay gente que te lo comenta, ya sea familia, amigos, y pues eso es definitivamente la razón por los que se hayan visto influenciados por ese género musical, que a fin de cuentas es buena música y esa trasciende época y trasciende pues el tiempo.
Excelente comentario.
Sí, very good.
Magnífica apreciación. Very good appreciation.
Appreciation, yeah.
Appreciation.
Well, let's talk about your first album is called Doorway to Summer.
Yes.
Back then, there were not as many members of the band as today. I think you had a different guitar player.
Yes.
Can you tell me about the changes of personnel in the band? Nowadays, you have three brothers. Akeson, how you say their name?
Yeah, Åkesson.
Akeson, yeah. How did that process develop in Moon Safari?
I think when Anton, who is the original guitarist, when he left, he joined another band which we grew up playing with, which is called Black Bonzo. I don't know if you heard Black Bonzo.
Yeah,
yeah. And they're our friends, and they were in the same rehearsal room as us. So what happened was that we've been talking about getting Pontus Åkesson, which is the middle brother, the next. He was next in line to join Moon Safari in a way, and we were talking about getting him into the group in some way. And then Anton wanted to go over to Black Bonzo to play bass, so it was just an easy switch there. We gave him to them, and then we took in Pontus instead. And then when we started playing live more and more, I think towards a couple of years back, we understood that we needed someone else for the live shows to do a lot more, to do very like the lower harmony parts, and also to have another keyboard player. So we got Sebastian Åkesson then, which is the youngest brother, to join the band. And of course, because they're family, it's really easy to bring another family member into the band. It was not like bringing in someone who we didn't know, or like they still have their older brother is the boss of them, and he takes care and makes sure they do what they're supposed to.
Okay.
And for the Baja Prog show, we're gonna have Mikael Israelsson on drums, and he's the drummer for Black Bonzo.
Okay.
But he was also in an old progressive rock band together with Tobias and Anton and Simon, and then he played keyboards. So it's just like a big family of musicians who.
Okay. Le pregunto que cómo han manejado los cambios de bandas de personal en la banda desde su primer disco. Dice que el primer disco Anton era su guitarrista, pero que él pues tuvo oportunidad de irse a otra banda que es Black Bonzo, se fue a tocar ahí el bajo, y entonces ellos vieron como algo natural incorporar al guitarrista, que es hermano del tecladista.
My most recent language is Italian, that's why I can't really find the words in Spanish, but I studied Spanish in high school, so.
Ah, great.
Yeah, I'll try to say something on stage when we're over there.
Yeah, for sure. You'll get you have a little time to learn more words in Spanish. Do you all guys are fully committed to the band, or do you have side occupations or jobs besides being in Moon Safari?
I would like to say that we're only playing in this band and that we make enough money to just do this, but that's not true. We still have to do things on the side. We do different things. We do a little bit of music work and a little bit of. I've been a student. Tobias works as a reporter for a Swedish magazine, and we do different things. But generally, I think we're doing more and more in the music, and it's paying off more and more. So hopefully, in a few years, we'll be able to release, so that we have about 6 or 8 months a year fully paid, and that we get to explore even more what we can do.
Great. And you mentioned 8 months. Is the weather a big factor over there in Sweden? You are very way up north, very far from Stockholm.
Yes.
Is that one of the places where you have many months of darkness or harsh winters?
Yeah.
How is that?
It's really something you have to experience. I think because we grew up here, we don't really know anything else. But like I said, I was in Italy last fall. After our European tour with the new album, I went to Italy and studied Italian for 2 months. So I came back at Christmas. Then I missed all the darkness basically, and I only had 2 months of darkness, which was really strange. So for me, it's been like no darkness at all, or no winter at all. But I think it's definitely something that shapes you, because the thing is, we've been able to get a lot of work done and get a lot of thinking done, I suppose, in the winter months. We were doing most of our recording and writing in the winter months. We've actually started writing the next album, the Himlabacken Volume 2, and we've written about 35 minutes of that, and we did that in January. We did two weeks straight of just sitting in the rehearsal room writing the stuff. So you get a lot of stuff done, and then in the summertime you just want to relax and not think about all the. Yeah, so in the summertime we go crazy, and we don't do too much music, and when the darkness falls again, we start making music, basically.
Okay, let me take the place where I was, I stopped. Bueno, le pregunté a Johan que cómo han manejado los cambios de banda, de integrantes. Dice que en un principio, pues en el primer disco tenían otro guitarrista, Anton, que decidió irse a otra banda que se llama Black Bonzo, a tocar el bajo. Entonces para ellos fue pues natural incorporar a otro de los hermanos Åkesson a la banda, porque eso tenía mucho que ver con el manejo de las voces en el escenario, y de hecho ya estaban pensando en qué forma incorporarlo. Posteriormente pues incorporaron al tercer hermano, y esto les ha ayudado mucho en el juego vocal, y que dice que a fin de cuentas es como una comunidad, que todos se conocen, que todos son amigos, que incluso en Mexicali los va a acompañar el baterista de Black Bonzo. También le pregunté acerca de cómo maneja él el español. Dice que pues, lo estudió en la secundaria, pero que además, aunque no es exactamente lo mismo, tienen similitudes, y él estuvo en Italia estudiando italiano hace poco. También le pregunto de la influencia que tiene el clima en su música. Dice que sí, efectivamente, donde ellos viven pues hay muchos meses de oscuridad, pero como él ha estado viajando, pues le tocaron solo 2 meses. Sin embargo, es curioso que él comenta que los meses de invierno es donde ellos trabajan haciendo su música, que de hecho del Himlabacken volumen 2 ya tienen 35 minutos que grabaron en el pasado enero, y también que eventualmente ellos quisieran depender únicamente económicamente de la banda. Dice que va bien la cosa, va hacia allá, pero la realidad es que hoy en día pues tienen también poder llegar a trascender con su propia música de esa forma. Let's talk about how you say Blomjult?
Blomjult.
Blomjult. It's a sound of flowers.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I find a lot of evocations about nature, about feeling well, about positiveness, about happiness. I could almost listen all through the album, the singing of birds, the smell of flowers. Would you call that album sort of a conceptual album? Has a unity in its themes?
Well, not really. I think it's really hard to say because me and Petter, we write the lyrics. Sometimes we write together, but sometimes we write thoughts apart as well. And when we do that, we don't really think about what the other guy's been writing. Not that we let it take over what the song I'm currently working on is going to be. It's like, but we sort of saw that around that time. I think it's mainly because we listen to the same kind of stuff and we've grown up together, so we've sort of evolved together as well, and that I think gives the albums a sort of unity because it's from the same place and time and we're so close as a band, so it's really. But I think a lot of later lyrics, I think we just sort of got stuck with the idea that we only made songs about sunshine and flowers and fields and green stuff. But if you listen to a lot of the stuff on Lover's End especially, and there's a lot of doubts, there's a lot of darkness, and you know how passion can become just pain and everything. It's just it's not as clear cut that it's just a happy band. But I think people confuse also the positiveness or a good melody, a major melody. They can confuse that with thinking, oh, this song is very happy, and they don't really listen to the lyrics anymore. So it's just like there is that aspect as well. I think people think in a way. If you have on the last Himla Backen album, we had a song called Sugar Band. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've heard that, but it's that lyric is. We make fun of I wrote the lyrics for that, but I sort of try to make fun of the fact that we're seen as a very happy band, whereas I think there's a lot of stuff missing. People are not really seeing the big picture, and I think there's more to us than that just that we're a happy sunshine guys just running around in the fields. But yeah, I think people will see it more and more as we make more music as well. But I think definitely people who found us through Blue Mute or A Doorway to Summer, they definitely think that that's where we're still at in terms of what we write and what we do. But I think we were really young back then as well. You have to remember, it's been a couple of years now since those albums, so it's yeah.
Okay, let me translate. Le pregunto que yo encuentro en el disco Plum Youth una especie de unidad, que si es algún tipo de álbum conceptual, porque todos los temas se refieren mucho a lo verde, a las flores, a los aves, etcétera, muy positivo. Y dice que no, en realidad no, lo que pasa es que él y Peter, que son los principales escritores de las letras del contenido, pues son muy cercanos y conviven. Entonces lo que están viviendo en ese entonces, tanto en el lugar donde viven como en lo que están escuchando, se refleja mucho en esa música, dice. Entonces la gente encuentra cierto tipo de unidad en ese disco, pero es por lo que estamos viviendo, dice. Sin embargo, mucha gente nos identifica con lo verde, lo positivo, las aves, las flores, band, sí, ¿no? Pero que no necesariamente, si escuchan discos como Lover's End o el Himla Backen, ya tienen temas más oscuros, más reflexivos. No necesariamente somos una banda tan alegre. Claro, éramos jóvenes en aquel entonces, dice, pero por ejemplo en el disco nuevo, pues hay una canción que se llama Sugar Band, donde pues, incluso hace cierta mofa de aquello de que los consideran una banda muy alegre, y ahorita en la actualidad ya no lo son.
Mira qué bien.
Yeah,
una especie de giro, ¿no?
Sí, you made a turn from you got away from the initial idea that people got from your first two albums. Yeah, I have all your albums except the last one, and I tend to get it over there in the Baja Prog. But I've listened to it, and I found a lot of lyrics towards reflection about why did I have to grow up and get in love? Because once you get in love, you feel very well, but when the relationships don't work out, there comes a sadness after that, and you start reflecting on many aspects of life that you were not aware before.
No, exactly. I think when we did the first couple of albums, we were really young, and I think really that we didn't really have too much to talk about. So I think we talked about stuff from a very idealistic viewpoint. We thought everything would be very great, and we didn't really have much problems back then either. I think that sort of came along when we got about 25, 26, 27. Then we sort of realized that, I have to grow up, I have to do this and that, and I have to find this one person I'm supposed to spend my life with, because that's what our culture says we should do. Mm-hmm. And I think we all battle with a lot of those questions, and I think that's just what we try to get out of us now, are more, we think about our background, where do we come from, is that why we're the way we are, how do we get to how do we transcend this, how do we get out of our own cultural heritage, how do we sort of get out of the social matrix that is from where we are, how do we change ourselves?
Okay. Dice que sí, que en los primeros dos álbumes pues pues no conocían mucho de la vida, todo era más ideal, todo era más pues la situación que ellos no tenían tantas preocupaciones, pero conforme van creciendo se dan cuenta que la vida no es así, que tienes que, según las exigencias de la sociedad, pues encontrar una pareja y encontrarte en la vida y buscar una forma de trascender. Entonces pues también lo plasman en su música, porque cuando se van acercando a los 30 años, que tienen 26, 27, ya no puedes pensar lo mismo que pensabas en un principio, claro, cuando tenías muchas preocupaciones. What's the average age in the band? So around 27?
Oh, I think because we have the youngest brother Åkesson, he's only 23, I think. So he's dragging the age, the average age level down. So I think it's about maybe 27 then. But it's only him. Then it's Pontus turns 27. No, 28, and Simon turns 30, and I'm 31, and Petter is 32, and so we're getting into middle age soon.
Okay, le pregunto acerca del promedio de la edad de la banda y dice que pues el hermano más joven que es Sebastian is the youngest.
Sí.
Okay. Pues tiene 23 años, pero los demás tienen 28, 30, 31, entonces siguen siendo una banda joven, pero pues al más joven es el que le toca lidiar con las vivencias de los que están teniendo ya cerca de los 30, como él que tiene 31. ¿Tenías?
Sí. Johan, son poco más de 10 años de Moon Safari. Como nos dices, ha cambiado mucho la perspectiva de sus miembros en cuanto a su producción musical, pero ¿cómo han visto ustedes el desarrollo de la banda dentro de este nuevo resurgimiento del rock progresivo y sobre todo esta escena de la península escandinava, y qué ha sucedido con Moon Safari en esos 10 años en lo más sobresaliente, por así decirlo?
Okay, it says it's been around 10 years for the official existence of the band, and how do you see the current progressive rock scene, especially in Scandinavia? What are the outlooks of the band regarding that musical scene in Scandinavia and in prog rock in general?
I think we have a very bright future. I think bands like Moon Safari or Beardfish or the younger generation of bands, we still have a shot at getting into a bigger scene and being part of making the genre a little bit bigger than it's been, I hope. We don't know, of course. It's so many things happening at the same time, and especially because now in this age everything is digitalized and everything is so internationalized. So it's like, if we don't know, maybe in 5 years we break it big in Japan, but we don't know, maybe get a hit in France or something like that, or go over to Mexico and then become one of the biggest bands there. Yeah. Hopefully, but anything can happen. But I think there's only a unity in terms of connection through the internet now. We don't really hang out with the other bands from Sweden. We meet some of them. We met Flower Kings, we met Beardfish and stuff, but because we don't come from the same towns either, so we really have very little connection with the rest of the musical world in Sweden. It's really weird. We go down to Europe and then we feel more at home there. But I think something like, you know, classic rock prog, you have that big magazine which sort of unites the genre. And there's a lot of good things happening to make prog a more of an accepted form of music, I think, even for people who don't really, you know, didn't know about it when it was just small fan scenes all over the place, you know. I think there's a lot of good stuff happening.
Ok, le preguntamos que cómo ve la escena, qué es lo que ha pasado en estos aproximadamente 10 años que tiene la banda formada, como ya lo dijo Salvador. Dice que pues le ve el género con un futuro muy promisorio, que el hecho de la internet, de estar comunicados, que no necesariamente tienen tanto contacto con las bandas suecas de progresivo, pero que sí llegan a encontrarse. Sin embargo, él comenta que de repente se sienten más en casa en el resto de Europa que aquí en sus casas, pero que revistas como Classic Rock Prog pues tienen muy actualizado a la comunidad y está mucho más difundida que en otros momentos. Entonces dice él que no sabe lo que pueda pasar, que a lo mejor en unos años se vuelven muy populares en Japón, que a lo mejor pega alguna canción de ellos en Francia y que incluso se vuelven una banda muy popular en México. Entonces lo ve, las posibilidades, la proyección las ve. How about the Baja Prog? Le pregunto que qué tal el Baja Prog. What are the ideas, the concept you have about Baja Prog? I know that it's a very well recognized prog rock festival because it's already had 13 editions, and the one you're going to be is the 14th. What is the idea you guys have about Baja Prog?
Well, we spoke to Flamber Ahead. You know, there's a Dutch band called Flamber Ahead.
Sure.
We played a few shows with them, and we talked. They were at Baja Prog, and they said it was really. Of course, also we've seen that a lot of big bands have played there over the years. So we always knew there was one of the places we needed to get, one of the festivals we really wanted to play. And I think also it's really important for us to show that we exist as a band in a live setting in a country, because when we went to Japan, we got to meet a lot of people, we got to connect with the fans in a way I think that makes us a lot more interesting and real for them. And I hope the same way it's the same in Mexico, because every time we've gone over to the US or go down into Europe, we find more and more fans connecting with us all the time. Wait, my sister's kid is coming in.
Bueno,
un bambino.
Un bebé. Say in Spanish, bebé. Un bebé.
Un bebé en español.
Yeah. Dice, le preguntamos qué concepto tienen ellos acerca del Baja Prog. Dice que ya platicaron con unos de una banda que se llama Flamber, que ya estuvo aquí en México. Ya les dijeron más o menos de qué se trata. Y dice que pues para la proyección de la banda es uno de los lugares obligados a los que tenían que estar en el Baja Prog, que era algo que ellos buscaban desde hace tiempo y pues finalmente se logró. Let me tell you that Swedish bands are becoming like a sort of tradition in the Baja Prog, because there have already been several bands like the Flower Kings, Isildur's Bane, and Englagard last year. As a matter of fact, they just announced that they are coming to play here in Mexico City next May. So we hope that in the not too far future, Safari is also going to play here in Mexico City, because you see the Baja Prog is in Mexicali. It's almost 3,000 kilometers from here, so it's not very close. But at least it's in Mexico, and it's for many of us prog rock fans the only opportunity we have to see many of our favorite bands, which we have been following for several years.
Hi, this is Johan Westerlund from Moon Safari. You're listening to Soundchaser, and just want to say that we're really looking forward to coming over to Mexico and to finally meet our fans over there and to play for you guys. And well, we'll see you at Baja Prog on the 3rd of April. Cheers.
Great, thank you very much. I was just one little question. Why is the cover of Bruce Springsteen album on Lover's End Part 3? Is there a reason?
Well, I mean, it's his album is Tunnel of Love, which was his breakup album.
Yeah.
Divorce and looking back at his life and all that. And it was sort of, we listened a lot to that album. We listened a lot to Bruce Springsteen. And we just wanted something. We just took stuff that was in Pedro's apartment. We put a Beatles coffee mug on the table, and we put the Tunnel of Love album there. And we took the lyric sheet from Lover's End Part 2, which is in the book there. And then we put a guitar in the corner, and just took stuff that we
Ok, dice que pues lo que pasa es que ese álbum de Tunnel of Love, le pregunté que por qué aparecía en Lover's End parte 3, y dice que lo que pasa es que es un álbum que habla acerca de rompimientos y pues era lo que estaban escuchando entonces, y tiene mucho que ver con las letras del Lover's End parte 1, parte 2 e incluso la parte 3 que lo sacaron. A ver.
Vamos a cerrar la entrevista, Johan. Para nosotros ha sido un placer tener con nosotros a Johan Westerlund de Moon Safari, una entrevista en exclusiva para Soundchaser, producciones Soundchaser, a través de www.box-medioson.com, la radio que tú defines. Nos resta darle las gracias a Johan de parte de Eduardo Van Genel, el que llevó esta entrevista de una forma magnífica, excelente, y bueno, ¿qué más? Un conocedor.
Gracias. Muchas gracias, Johan, por tu tiempo, por tu presencia, y esperamos verte ya muy pronto en el Baja Prog en Mexicali y saludarte en persona.
Muchas gracias.
We thank you very much for your time, for your interview, and we look forward to see you in Mexicali and meet you in person.
Yes, it's going to be great. Thank you very much for the interview. We'll speak soon.
Sure.
Muchas gracias, amigos. Quédense en Soundchaser, visiten nuestro canal de YouTube. Tenemos muchas sorpresas. Esperamos ver a Moon Safari en un gran concierto en Mexicali en abril 2014.
It's going to be a great show, I'm sure. Va a ser un gran concierto.
Many thanks, Johan.
Thank you, Johan. Looking forward to see you.
Yes, we'll see you soon.